Hi, and welcome to the Gamer Get podcast. This is a podcast where we get gamers on to talk about games and the latest gaming news with a focus on Japan. This is episode 3. I'm your host Genki, a lover of video games living in Japan and making tweets and videos on games in Japan. And we have a very special guest joining us for today's show. Please welcome the Amiibo collector extraordinaire, someone who is an expert of the stats and figures and looking at the Japanese gaming market, and the host of the Game Corner Shop live stream. Please welcome the one and only Jodie. How's it going, Jodie?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Oh yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, it's quite
I
hot
do
in Japan as
have.
well.
It's hot. Okay, we it's hot here. As I was speaking, obviously I was speaking to Genki earlier. Right, we was meant to record this before the weekend, but it was like the crazy heat wave
Yeah.
in the UK. We had like 7 consecutive days where it was
Oh wow.
30 or more, 30 degrees centigrade or more. Today it's like I think it's in the 20s now. It's like 23, 24. Yeah, 24 degrees right now. So it's been really hot and humid. So like, I couldn't record in that heat because it was like making me unwell. But yeah, like it's been a heat wave. Apart from that being good, I do have a slight correction, Genki. Now, in your introduction of me, you said I am an amiibo collector extraordinaire. That part is absolutely true. That is true. But the other part is expert on stats and I am not an expert on stats and figures and looking at the Japanese market. I'm just a Joe Schmo who likes doing it for funsies. That's
Oh,
it. Basically, I'm not an expert at all. I've never claimed to be. So thank you for bigging me up, Genki, but by no means an expert. I just like looking at this stuff.
okay. Yeah, you know more than most, so which is quite good, which is expert enough for me. Oh yeah, well, thanks so much for coming on today's podcast. Yeah, and yeah, thanks for joining me for today's show.
No
So,
problem.
so let's get into the show. So, in this part of the podcast is where we like to know our guests a bit better and hear about people's gamer origins to find out how people got into video games. Jodie, I would love to know how you got into video games and especially games from Japan.
So I think my story is maybe typical of a lot of people, right? So
Hmm.
I'm let's just say I'm a little bit older, okay? So I started with the NES. Okay, that was the first system
Yes.
that I
Okay. Cool.
had exposure to. Obviously like Super Mario Brothers, and my favorite game was actually DuckTales.
Oh,
If you remember, yeah, then there's DuckTales game. That was my favorite. So that was like my first exposure. And then at some point, I was given my own Game Boy for Christmas. I mean, like the old school, the
yeah.
plain brick Game Boy with the green screens, right?
Green
No
screen.
backlight. We never backlight back in the day, man. There was
That's
no
right.
backlight. You had to be looking under a lamp.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I had that. I had like a Super Mario. I only had like a handful of games. So Super Mario Land, Donkey Kong. If you remember that Donkey Kong game that was on the Game Boy, and yeah, a few other things, Tetris. I can't remember. And at some point, my siblings they had Game Boys as well when they were a bit older, of course, because there's like a bit of an age gap between myself and them. They had Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, so I play some of their games as well, like Pokemon, uh, Link's Awakening, which is probably still my favorite game to this day. That the original Link's
Hmm.
Awakening.
Oh, that's a good one.
Uh, yeah, it's like that was like I guess that was like my first Zelda game, and yeah, various other games, and then I got like at some point got my sister's second hand DS and played various Pokemon games. There was this puzzle game that I really liked. This Sega game called it was something like you had to connect. What was it called again? Where you had to connect crystals together or something. It wasn't Puyo Puyo. Not that. It wasn't that. It was something else. My mind's gone
Hmm.
blank. What was that game called? I used to love that game. There was this game where it was like a match puzzle game that I used to
Oh, okay.
love. Apart from that, I never had my own PlayStation, but I played like I mean like as in it was mine, right? It was like this is my play. I didn't have one. But like I had like friends and family who had them, so I did play various games on the PS1 and on the PS2. But then there was a time in my life when I just didn't play any games for like years and years and years, and that's partially because of what was going on. My life was pretty turbulent, what was going on, and then I had a lot of health issues, right? So which I still have to this day. But at that time, I was like in and out of hospital, having operations and stuff like that. So you know, gaming just went away. It just went. It obviously I had more important things to deal with. So that went away for years until I think like one day, like must have been like 7, 8 years ago. I was like, God, I just want to play Pokemon. I want to play, how do I play Pokemon now? Where do I get it? Where do I get it? I don't know how to get Pokemon. And I was like, oh, well, the Pokemon must be on, this was years ago, okay? I was like, Pokemon must be on like, you must be able to get that on phones by now. So I've been playing little phone games and little, like flash games and stuff. At one point, I was really addicted to Marvel's Contest of Champions. I don't want to get into that. I spent too much money on that stupid game. But yeah, I looked on there, and this is how long ago it was. There was not a single Pokemon game on the Play Store or whatever. I was like, oh damn, there wasn't any. Right, so I was like, oh, okay. And then I figured out you can just emulate. Okay, so I was playing Pokemon Blue or Red or one of those. And then shortly after that, it was like it was literally a few months, a couple of months later, Pokemon Go came out, right? And if you remember when that came out, like 2016? 2016, 2017.
Yeah,
I want to say it's
2016.
2016. Yeah, and it was just everyone was playing that. It was a phenomenon. Everyone was going crazy playing that, and through that, I like met people. I met someone who they had a 3DS, right? And bear in mind, I hadn't seen any games or anything for years, and they had a 3DS, and they was playing like the latest Pokemon, like Blue at the time was like Sun Moon, and I was like, yo. That's what Game Boy looks like. Game Boy looks like now. So I was like, oh god, I really want to play that. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm a grown ass woman. I can just go and buy a 3DS. I can just get one. I can just buy it. So I bought a 3DS and like, was it end of 2016, beginning of 2017? I had no idea that Nintendo was making another console. It was going to be this Switch thing. I didn't even know. I literally had no idea. And through that, I started going to like these. The person I met there, she ran a Nintendo or DS meetup in London. That's where I'm from. I started going to that. And then they said, "Oh, this new console, because Switch is coming out, right? There's this new console coming out." And I was like, "Nah, I just got this one. I don't need one, right?" And then they had a launch event actually, and I went to that, and some people had that, and I was like, "Well, this is like a tablet. Why on earth would I want? I don't want a goddamn tablet." Right? This is what I thought at the time. So anyway. It must have been a couple of weeks, a few weeks past, right? I went to one of the meetups, right? And someone had the Switch, right? And they were playing Breath of the Wild on it. I was like, wait, what is this? And they're like, oh, this is the latest Zelda game. I was like, no, that's what Zelda looks like now. I can't believe it. I was like, what? And I was like, I need Switch. Just gone home, Amazon. Can't get it anywhere. Amazon, John Lewis, looked everywhere. Oh, I got you could not get the thing for love of your money. It was just sold out, gone everywhere. If you remember, like how that was. Eventually, I did get one. Eventually, I did get a Switch in like April of 2017. I had to wait a few weeks. Managed to get that. Got that with Mario Kart 8, and it goes on. Just went on from there. Eventually, got a PlayStation 5 when it actually managed to get a PlayStation 5 at launch. Believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
It was right time, right place. If you remember, there was that mad scramble when I think a retailer in Australia listed it before it. They said they was going to before Sony said it was going to be listed or whatever. And so I was just looking on Twitter. It was like, oh wait, all these retailers are putting it on. And then my friend called me and was like, well, why don't you check like game? You check game and see if it's like there as a PlayStation 5. I was like, oh, I don't need to get it now. Like, how do I think it's going to? And my friend's like, oh no, you should check. So I checked it. I was like, yeah, they got it in stock. My friend's like, oh, you should get it now. I was like, nah, I don't, not now. He's like, no, it's going to sell out. I was like, I'm just going to sell out. Come on, man. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, quick, you need to do it. So I did it, and it was gone in like 30 minutes. It was gone. So that's how I managed to get a PlayStation 5. So yeah, that's it. Well, at some point, I built a PC, but I don't really like a PC game like that. I used to play a lot of Final Fantasy 14 on my PC. But I kind of had to, low-key, I had to give up that game. It was taking up too much of my life. But anyway, so yeah, that's it basically to the present day.
Oh,
When it comes to games, I have a Switch, PlayStation 5, and technically I have a PC, but I don't really like play games on it like that. So
oh yeah.
that's it for like games and stuff.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that, Jodie. That's cool. Good to know. And I was also wondering like how you got into like how you got into like looking at like the sales like Japanese sales and like Japanese games as well.
So the short answer to that is that I'm a nerd, right? When it comes to like Japanese games, obviously like I started with Japanese games, right? I never really thought about. I don't know if it really occurred to me like where these games were from or who was making them or where.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really thought about that stuff at that age.
Yeah.
I just
Just
remember
video games, right?
vaguely. It's just video games. If you remember,
Yeah.
do you remember news rounds, Genki? I know you remember news rounds,
News
right?
round, yeah.
Yeah. So this
What's
was
the
like
guy's
this.
name? Oh, news round. Um,
Um
that guy was always on there.
Andy something, Andy something, right?
No, Andy was like on Play Days or something. He was like
Oh, was it?
he like ITV, and then there was
Oh, okay. Oh, I
oh
was
yeah,
getting them mixed up. But
yeah.
yeah,
I know it's like a BBC Kids news show in the UK.
exactly, yeah. And so like one day in the night, they had this report, and it was like, oh, there's this. This is like nobody knew what this was, right? You bear in mind, you got a better. It's hard to imagine this, but there was a time when nobody knew what this was, and they said, "Oh, there's this thing called Pokemon, and it's taken over Japan, right? And the kids are going crazy." And they showed like this, and I don't know why this news report sticks in my. They showed this news report, these kids going crazy and Pokemon, and at this time, it had not arrived in the UK. It wasn't a worldwide thing at that point. Oh, Pokemon. Why are going like? They was like, why is this like a news report? Why are they reporting on this? I think this Pokemon thing, right? And then yeah, I remember that. So you vaguely know these games and stuff are from Japan, but you don't. I don't know, man. I never really thought. I never really thought about it where the games are coming. But I guess yeah, most of them are from Japan. And into quite a lot of the games that I played and stuff like that. When it comes to like the sales side of things, so the short answer is I'm a nerd, right? Years ago, this is over 10. Must have been like this must have been like 15 years ago, right? So this is like when I first opened my Twitter account and stuff like that. And back then, I used to watch like a lot of TV shows, especially American TV shows, right? And you know, low key, certain ways of getting things. Genki, just say that there's certain ways you get things.
Yeah.
You find them online. You can watch things at the same time they're watching them in the States, right? So that's what I did, and there was I don't remember this, but there was a writer's strike at this time. This was like 10, 15 years ago. There was some writer's strike, and a lot of shows either got cancelled or they prematurely ended or they had half season and stuff like that, and some of them didn't get renewed for what they called the back 13, right, which would be the if there's a 24 season 22 24 season episode, they give them the back 13 when they get the rest of the episode. I think they get like 11 first and they get the rest of the episode or something like that, right? So there was a show that I really liked, right? To this day, it's still one of my favorite shows. There's a show called Pushing Daisies, right? And it got like it didn't get the back 13 at first, and then it got the right strike, and they get cancelled. But then some other shows get renewed. I was like, this is low key. I'm not allowed to swear. This is BS, right? So I was looking at it, saying, why are these things not getting renewed and stuff like that? And I looked, and and then I found the world of like television ratings. Well, this was before streaming services weren't as big as they are. It was Netflix and stuff, but they weren't quite as big as they are now. And so I looked, and then I started getting into that. I was like, oh right, these ratings is what dictates whether a show is going to get renewed or get this back 13. And I started getting into that, and I think at one point I had a blog, and like I was into that, and then I stopped as I just fell out of it. A streaming service became more popular, and the pure ratings, like the actual how many people are watching show was less important. And I just kind of fell out of that for years. And at some point, when I started getting back into video games, I was like, this certain game they're making this one and this one getting a sequel? I was like, let me find out what's going on. And I was like, and then I found it like these like I found out there's these charts and everything. I was like, oh, this is what's going on here. So I was like looking at these charts and seeing how stuff is doing, and this is just. Listen, I was just doing this just looking at it. I was just looking at it myself. I wasn't even. This was before I even started using it because my Twitter account was dormant for years before I even started using it again, right? So it was just I was just looking at it literally for funsies. Like I'm not even joking, right? So I've been looking at that stuff, and then at some point I think I started. I don't know, man. I was looking at different websites and YouTube videos and stuff like that. I was listening to podcasts and stuff, and I think I just started like putting stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, because I didn't know anybody, and I just started putting some stuff on Twitter and stuff like that. And then at some point, this is before Twitter went to hell in a handbasket, of course. At some point they started the Twitter Spaces, right? Obviously I met various people on Twitter. We were going to the Twitter Spaces, and I think like I met you like it was like 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
And we would go into these Twitter Spaces together, and and be talking about these various games and like why these. And this is at the time when um, PlayStation was in decline in Japan, and like we was trying to figure. I was just like, what? That was one of the things with like when it comes to like looking at the figures and stuff like that. I was trying to figure out like, I was like, why is that? I don't understand why that's happening. So in order to try and understand why that's happening, I was looking at this data, all these like Famitsu charts, right? It was all media creators. People look at Famitsu now because media create kind of charts for things, but like media creating Famitsu charts going back decades. They have them
Mm-hmm.
for Japan. So I was looking at these charts, trying to like figure out like why would certain systems do well, why certain games do well, and why that PlayStation's been in heavy decline for like so many years now. So I was looking at that, and then I found, oh wait, no, there's like this whole communities of nerds where they're all looking at these things. They have whole things they're looking at, and I started going on like just lurking. I've never posted anything like, but in like Reset Era, right? So there's this, which still exists, a site called Reset Era, and they'd post the weekly media create in there, and I'd be looking at that and stuff like that. And then at some point, I think the people that were doing that fell out with the people on. I don't know the whole story, but I remember it happening. They fell out with the people on Reset Era, and they started their own forum. So that forum is install based forum, which you can go on for a lot of the sales charts and discussion like that. So that was how I was looking at it, just because I was generally interested in what was going on and why certain things are doing well. At some point, I met you like 2 years ago. We was doing the Twitter Spaces and stuff like that, and then for various reasons I won't get into, we you and I did like, okay, let's just do our own one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we started one like 2020, must have been like June. I think it was June 22. Um,
Yeah.
Genki and I were doing. It was just called the Jodie and Genki show because I'm just like I'm no good at thinking of names and stuff like that, or whatever. I'll just call it that.
Oh
And
yeah.
we
Me
just
too.
talked
That's
every
crazy.
week about the Famitsu charts, and it was really fun. Like when we was doing that, we ended up getting like a good few people in listening and stuff like that. And like one of the main reasons why I wanted to do, I don't know about you, Genki, one of the main reasons I wanted to do it because they were just, I could not find an audio format specifically talking about like the Japanese video game sales, the video games like market, and or I could find different things about Japanese games or different
Mm-hmm.
general gaming podcasts, but nothing specific. Because it's so niche nerdy thing. Why would there be a podcast about that? There wasn't one. So I was like, I'll do it myself, right? So that, and then Twitter imploded, and one day they just Spaces was turned off, okay, and we couldn't do the show. So I think it's at that point I was like, okay, let's move to YouTube. Let's do it on YouTube. We have control of it and whatever like that. So we moved to YouTube and did that for couple of months together. And I think at some point he said he was unable to make the time commitment at that time. So there's a big time difference between us, obviously. I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine, that's cool. So because it was called the Jodie and Genki show, I changed the name. I had to think of a new name. I chose Game Corner Shop, which is meant to be
Mm,
like an amalgamation of like a
nice.
British corner shop, which is like a local convenience store, and like a Japanese game corner, right? It would be like a little arcade, or like it could be like a game section in the store as well. So I just thought I would mash those together, and with the YouTube show, we kept the same format that we had on with Twitter Spaces. With Twitter Spaces, like a town hall type thing where people can jump in and speak if you know let them come up on the microphone. So I kept that for I kept the discussion format. So basically, it's a discussion show, and I have like regulars that come on co-host with me, and people come on the show and we talk and discuss and like I try to keep the shows short, but sometimes there's been 6 hour epics. I'm not even joking. And
Really?
no,
Oh, yeah,
that no serious.
oh,
Like we're and I have like I'll get towards the end of the show and then someone will like this different people in like our community, right? So I started a Discord server, right? So I started the Discord server that I started to facilitate us doing the show back at the beginning of this year. It's just grown. It's just like really really taken off, and we've got over 100 members now, and a lot of like regular people with like really like a really active community or active discussion specifically about Japanese video game sales and stuff like that. So there's a lot of regulars from there that will come into the show. So like I might be getting towards the end of the show, and then like someone like Jago shouts, Jago will just come and just jump in and just like then the show goes on for another 2 hours, and we're talking about why Square Enix is a grossly mismanaged L company, and we're going through their financial results and all stuff like that. It's like all of their down. This is like the last financial results we're through. All their departments down, everything down except for every department was down except for the merchandising. And basically, I joked that because Jago had bought like two Torgal plushies. Like Torgal from Final Fantasy 16. He bought two Torgal plushies.
oh,
Those goddamn plushies are so expensive.
yeah, the big one's already pricey.
The big one, yeah, it's like £90,
Yeah,
like for
yeah,
90
like
British
100.
pounds. So it's over $100, well over $100 US dollars, right? So he bought that and a small one. I was just joking, like, oh well, the reason that their merchandising department is good, they're still the only department that's doing well because you bought two expensive Toggle plushies and you were keeping them in business. So I was laughing, like, it's just all fun and jokes like that. So it's kind of like an entertaining show. We've got a community going in the Discord server, and like we do like sometimes we do like community days and stuff like that. We did like not Splatfest, but like what was the other one? The Big Run. We played Big Run in the server, and we do things like watch parties for like directs and these various gaming events. There might be a direct soon. Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, that's basically it. I've kind of went off the track of it, didn't I? Or did I not? I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that was exactly what you wanted to hear.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting to hear about your gaming origins, and yeah, definitely go check out the Games Corner Shop on Jodie's YouTube channel. Yeah, and yeah, check out her Discord as well.
Yeah, so it's just at Game Corner Shop. You do youtube.com/ at Game Corner Shop. That'll get you to the YouTube. The Discord is just called Jodie's JP Sales Chat, but I'll have to give you a link to that because you don't get unique links for Discord unless you like pay or whatever. So I'll give you a link to that later that you can put in the show notes or whatever.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that, Jodie. We're gonna move to the news next. So, story number one: Nintendo showed Switch 2 demos at Gamescom, and this is via VGC and Andy Robertson. Nintendo showed off tech demos for its Nintendo Switch successor behind closed doors at Gamescom. It's understood. That's according to a new report from Eurogamer, which VGC can corroborate via our own sources. According to the publication, Nintendo privately showed invited developers specially prepared tech demos for its next generation games console, which could launch next year. One Switch 2 demo is understood to have been an improved version of the Switch launch title, Zelda Breath of the Wild, running at a higher frame rate and resolution than the original game did, on hardware targeting the new console specs, but there was no suggestion the game will actually be re released. Another VGC source claimed that Nintendo showcased Epic's impressive The Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, originally released to showcase the power of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X in 2021, running on target specs for its next console. The demo is said to have been running using NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling technology, with advanced ray tracing enabled and visuals comparable to Sony's and Microsoft's current gen consoles. However, it should be noted that this does not mean the Switch successor will support raw power anywhere near that of the PS5 or Xbox Series X, which aren't portable devices. So, Jodie, we got this new story that they were showing off the Switch 2 at Gamescom in Germany. And what did you what do you think about that news?
Yeah, so the thing that was the most interesting was like is the sources of where it's come from. It's the Eurogamer, then it's corroborated by VGC. If it had been probably any other sources, I'd probably be like, okay. But Eurogamer and VGC have like an impeccable track record, and it's some stuff has been further corroborated by like Nate the Hate as well, who does the Nate the Hate podcast. So because of that, and because of over the years, there's been so much reports about Nintendo working with Nvidia with this DLS technology, which is already available on Nvidia's cards. So you can get it now. Like they're high end graphics cards, right? You can get this technology already now. But like it's like there's too much smoke basically. So I definitely think this actually happened because we are getting this from reliable sources. So I was kind of when I first heard this bit about the Matrix, that I was a little bit surprised about that. I was like, "What really that Matrix demo that was running?" But then upon reflection, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, "Well, that demo is like 2 years old at this point." And they were saying that there was like they even showcased like ray tracing and stuff like that, and I was like, what? Part of it's like Nintendo doesn't go in for the high end consoles anymore. They used to do that at some point, like, but not since like the GameCube or whatever. So I was like, would they really do? But then I was like, okay, but this is like using this DLSS, upscales and does all this stuff with the aid of AI technology. So it's possible that you can have a device that's lower powered that puts out images. And then when we think about like the technology, the actual whatever they're using, the hardware and everything being like newer, right? So it'd probably be like probably a couple of years old because they have to like start making it at some point. And then it's like, well, this is a chip and this is like what we're using. So they go from there. So it wouldn't be like the latest thing. It'd be like what they could get when they started developing it. So if you think, well, that technology, and then you think about if there's, we're thinking about like maybe PS4 level graphics. Well, the PS4 is like old, like at this point, that's like super old technology. But if you've got something that's with the latest technology, plus with this AI upscaling stuff, it's plausible. It's definitely plausible. And I think that this sounds really interesting. And in a way, this could be like when it comes to making a portable device, a device that's also portable. This can be a kind of a game changer, or for those type of lower powered devices in order to put up visuals comparable. Now they said visuals comparable, so it doesn't mean it's exactly the same, what it probably means is that it looked similar, and like with the naked eye, you unless you just had a side by side and you did the digital foundry thing and everything, you probably can't
Hmm.
tell. So this sounds fascinating. So really interesting. Obviously they did it behind closed doors, but they know this stuff's gonna get out. So
Yeah.
it's a behind closed doors demo. That's it doesn't mean as you know, the report says it doesn't mean that they're going to re-release, Breath of the Wild. Doesn't mean that they're going to release this. I doubt this. They're going to release that Matrix demo because it was a licensing thing for they made a new movie at that time, right? So it was in conjunction with the movie, but it doesn't mean that that Nintendo's obviously they're working with Epic again because they've done like Epic tech demos and stuff before. I think I did one for the Switch. Yeah, this is fascinating, and I'm really looking. It's going to be quite a while till we get like more details and stuff like that. But I'm kind of excited. This is kind of exciting. This new technology. I've been kind of like skeptical on it for like the longest time. I'm going to be honest with you. But because these reports are coming out, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is like looking like it's real and like it's could be relatively impressive. But then I'm also bear in mind that like Nintendo doesn't go in for high end hardware, but it seems like maybe they don't need to because of this technology, right?
Yeah, that's quite interesting about the NVIDIA upscale DLSS upscaling technology. So yeah, maybe that will mean that they can run on like lower specs than like standard PS5, but still look pretty impressive. So that's probably what it is. Yeah, I'd have to say like I watched a Digital Foundry video talking about this, and
Oh yeah, okay.
they did say like to keep in mind that the demos were likely on hardware targeting the new console specs.
Right.
So it doesn't mean like they had an actual Switch 2 like there. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
more like they had like some hardware like replicating like the Switch 2's potential power. So it's
Hmm.
probably like running off a computer like targeting the Switch's power. So yeah, I don't think like we can take too much from this, but it is like kind of exciting to see like that Switches are going to be targeting like more like like uh like current gen games, like the more high end games. Um because like I know there's one thing that I noticed like when I went to TGS last year, like there were so many booths and all the big companies are there like Sega, Bandai
Hmm.
Namco, Konami, and Square Enix and stuff. And then
Hmm.
all nearly all the games are like running on PS5s, and like there
Yeah.
weren't that many Switch games that could run on Switch. So I can imagine like a lot of these third party publishers, like they want to put their games on Switch, but like they need more power, so they're probably asking for more power from Nintendo so they can put their games on there as well. Um, so I think that's why like it's the Nintendo is like maybe trying to make those kind of third party developers happy, as well as all the first party games do are crazy good, but I think like they're trying to make the third party guys happy as well by making a more powerful console. Yeah, but yeah, it won't be as powerful as the PS5, but at least it could be able to run the same games, even though it might have some differences.
Yeah, yeah, basically. So, yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. I think it's potentially there would be some companies, particularly some of these Japanese companies that have not been given a lot of. You'd think they would, but they haven't been supporting the Switch as much. So I think like companies that you mentioned, like Square Enix and Capcom, I think yes, like they have, tried. They've tested games. I think Final Fantasy
Mhm.
15 that was tested on the Switch, but they couldn't, get it
Yeah,
running
they have to put the pocket
satisfactorily.
version.
Right, so we've got the
Yeah, and then
costly pocket version.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then Capcom with the RE, they had to do the cloud versions. So they want their games on the Switch,
They want the games
but
on the Switch,
yeah,
but they
it's
couldn't
just
do it.
technically, yeah.
So, like with this new technology, I think yes, Capcom and Square Enix, yes, but fraudulent companies like Bandai Namco, I think they're going to be putting their Bandai Namco Studio games day and day, Tales of and all this on Switch? They're probably not. No. Do I think Atlas are going to put their next,
Are they better?
Persona
Yeah.
on it? No, because the reason they're not putting
Metaphor.
games on
They should
Switch
put,
now is sorry.
they should put Metaphor on there and Reload.
They should, but they will not, right? Because they're one of the most fraudulent companies on the face of the earth. That's the first thing, right? They won't do it, right? Because the reason that they're not putting the games on Switch is not nothing to do with power. It's because they do not want to put the game. They don't want to do it. That's the reason. So a more powerful system or something that can make, or not necessarily like more powerful, but better visuals and everything. Do I think it's going to convince those fraudulent companies? No, but I think Capcom, Square Enix, and some of those other ones, yeah, for sure they will because they have a
Mhm.
track record of wanting to do it, even willing and wanting
Yeah.
to. Except when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, they
No
low key
more.
they're
Oh
still
my
going to
gosh,
put.
Kingdom Hearts cloud version.
There'll
No
still be
compared to
cloud
Kingdom Hearts
versions of Kingdom
sound.
Hearts.
Yeah. It's not even like a
Yeah.
PS4. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't want to say.
Yeah, it's PSP, 3DS, PS2, and PS2. The only one that's the more
Yeah.
modern one is Kingdom Hearts 3. All the rest of them are like from like
Oh
old
yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3.
PS2 and on the PSP and all this. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's just because they didn't.
So we can finally get native Kingdom Hearts on the Switch.
Maybe. We'll
Yeah,
see.
that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to story number 2. No DLC planned for Tears of the Kingdom. And this is from thefamilycast.com from Danny Bivens. Those looking for further Hyrulean adventures in Tears of the Kingdom may be in for some disappointment. On September 6th, Famitsu published an interview with both series producer Eiji Aonuma and Tears of the Kingdom director Hidemaru Fujibayashi, discussing just this and a whole lot more. Famitsu posted the following question to the two. Famitsu, I would like to hear about your next project, whether that will be the next game or additional stories. There are so many possibilities. Fujibayashi responded, I don't know if it will be our next project in the series, but I'm thinking about what the next fun experience will be. At the present time, I am not sure what form it will take. And Awanuma also said, there are currently no plans to release any DLC for Tears of the Kingdom because I feel that we've done all that we can with this world. The reason we decided to make this sequel was because we thought there were new ways to play that would be worth experiencing. If some kind of new reason comes about in the same way, we may go back to the same world. Whether it's a sequel or a completely new game, I think there will be new methods of play, and we hope you will look forward to it in the future. So, Jodie, we got this news that there won't be any DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, which did surprise a lot of people online. And yeah, I think it's quite understandable because there's already a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and I think originally like it was supposed to be some kind of DLC, but they just had too many ideas, so they just made a sequel. And so it kind of it's understandable. But yeah, what do you think about this story?
So I was a little bit surprised because I'm looking at it from a sales perspective, right? As I like to do.
Hmm.
This game has already sold. What was it? Was it 18 million? How much did it sell? I forgot. It
Oh
was like
yeah, it's sort of yeah, almost 20. Yeah, it's like
yeah. Okay,
not check,
so
but yeah.
like it's only been out for a number of months, right? Not even a year. So in terms of like monetization of okay, if you sold DLC with this, and say it was like $30 DLC. I think what's the Breath of the Wild one, $20 or $30? I can't remember now.
Oh, it was
Um,
18.5 million it sold.
18.5. God, already. Okay, and that was only up until like
Yeah, until like
June,
end of June. Yeah.
end of June. Damn. So, in terms of that, like, okay, yeah, they're kind of leaving money on the table, right? In terms of like, could you make a DLC that a lot of people would buy. On the other hand, I can see what they're saying here. What the director and producer are saying here, that basically they've done so much in that world already, and this, as you said, this is a sequel. This is already a sequel, so they felt like they have told the story that they wanted to say. And that's like a creative decision at the end of the day. That's them thinking about the creative process and what they're going to spend their creative energy on, rather than maximum monetization. And good on them if that's what they want to do, and they want to move on to the next, what's the next, and they're probably already, that's probably got some ideas and pre-production and stuff, like probably already going. So I'm sure they planned all this stuff years in advance. So if they want to go and move on and have Zelda in a new world, a new Hyrule, new art styles. So we've had like 3 games and some DLC with this with the Breath of the Wild art style. Go have a whole new art style and change again. I think, yeah, because if they were making DLC, even if they started right now, it'd probably be like another year till you got that DLC, and in the meantime, they could be working on, the new game. And I think, yeah, maybe it's a good place to stop it, go out with a bang, and get onto the next Zelda game, because the gap. I mean, was it like a 7 year? How long? Yeah, it was a 7 year gap. It was a 7 year gap between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, how long is it going to be to the next Zelda game? Do you know what I mean? So maybe it is a good idea for them to kind of, from that point
Yeah,
of view, for how long game development takes nowadays for them to move
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Since it came out, yeah, I guess they started before the Breath of the Wild probably released. So, yeah, about 6 or 7 years
Yeah,
since then. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I think it's good that they can work on the focus on the new game, and yeah, because they'll have much more power, and hopefully they'll be able to do some more interesting and new things, which would be cool. Yeah, so I'm not bummed out because like I still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom. I started it, but then Final Fantasy 16 came out, so like I put it down. So
yeah.
yeah, I
I
need to
haven't I
finish
haven't
it.
even started it, Genki. I'm
Okay.
fortunate. Fortunate. I haven't started it. I
Yeah,
started
but
playing, no, same thing. Final Fantasy 16. I was, I've been playing that. So
yeah, yeah,
that's what
but
it
yeah,
is.
it's like over 100 hours. So yeah, I don't think the game
Exactly.
really needs DLC. And I think a lot of people complaining, but I bet most of them haven't even like done everything in the base game yet.
Probably not.
So yeah, I don't think it needs DLC, and I'll be much more happy to get a new game sooner.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, because yeah, they're super talented developers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. So moving on to story number 3, I'll just touch on a few different points from a few more different points from Nintendo. So yeah, first one, we got the new Super Mario Wonder Direct a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it confirmed that yeah, it looks really cool. We have like some new modes, like new powers, like the elephant power, and it also confirmed to have online co-op, which was really good. And we also got news of a new red Switch OLED model coming out as well. So yeah, we'll just talk about that briefly. You have anything you want to say about that?
I'm kind of like disappointed by that design of that Mario Red OLED, because I thought it was gonna have like a special Mario design on the front,
Oh yeah,
and like special Joy-Con, but it's just red. And I know they put like a secret little Mario. There's like a little Mario silhouette and some hidden
yeah,
coins when you open up the back. But that's like, come on, it's not on the front. So
no,
I
yeah,
don't know, but people eat it up because it's a new color and it's
hmm
Mario red. It's not like the
Mario,
neon. I
yeah,
think it's not neon red, right? It's
yeah, it's
like
like a
actual
new red
Mario red.
color.
Yeah.
Hmm
So I was disappointed in that, but maybe I'm not the market. I already got the. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But yes. I got Tears of the Kingdom limited edition Switch. Yes, I got it. It's
Oh
still in the
yeah,
box. I don't
I
care.
got that
I don't
too.
care. It's still
Yeah,
in the box. It's going to stay in the box.
yeah.
If you got,
I'm
honestly,
happy.
keep it in the box.
I'm happy it's not so impressive because like yeah, I'm not tempted to buy it at all. I already have two now Switch OLEDs because yeah, I've got the base Switch OLED, and then yeah, I bought the Tears of the Kingdom one too. And yeah, it's staying in the box because I think it's just going to be like a collector's item for me. Because
Same.
I'm using my normal Switch a lot already. So
Genki, have you ever gone back and look at the price of like the Majora's Mask 3DS and
oh,
some
I
of
don't
those
want to do that.
other Zelda? Right,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, right. The prices of those Zelda ones go. I keep it in the box. Even though they
Oh,
go
okay,
up
keep
so
it in the box.
much.
But with
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one, I
yeah.
think they made so many. I don't think it will get as high as that
Oh,
3DS.
they made a
But
lot of they made a lot of those Majora's Mask ones too.
oh,
They
okay.
made a lot of those.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, but I'm keeping it in the box for now. But yeah, it was cool. So yeah, I'm not interested in picking up this red Mario one, but it was interesting. And then oh yeah, we also got a video message finally came. I thought it would come in the direct, but yeah,
Mm.
we got the video message from Charles Martinet, saying how he's moved on to the new Mario ambassador role. Yeah, what did you think about that?
So I heard him say in like I think maybe an interview after or before or around then, they said he doesn't really know what that role involves. He's just gonna be traveling around the world like
He's basically doing the
I
same thing
guess
he's doing before.
yeah, like signing autographs or going to personal appearances or
Hmm.
doing the voices and stuff like that. So like he's not retiring, but he's also not doing the voices anymore because that's like I know he's cause obviously he's an old gentleman, right? I know he's getting on in age, but he's traveling around the world takes a lot of energy and stuff. So he's going to be doing that, but not doing the voices. So I don't know if it's just like he just uh, he maybe I don't know because those are quite high pitched voices, right? So maybe he sustaining the voice for a long time was he maybe had something, or maybe he had some other issues, or maybe Nintendo just felt like it was time to put someone new to have someone new. I don't. I have no idea. But I guess eventually, at some point, voice actors do retire from the roles that they, it's happened to a lot of famous characters before in the past. So, yeah, I think maybe the reason why they didn't put that on the end of the direct because it was like a farewell message, I guess, and
Mm.
maybe it.
Maybe they want to keep everything positive, and like maybe that's a bit of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
downer for
yeah,
people. So just get the bad news out the way first, maybe kind
yeah.
of thing.
I think so. So it's kind of like a bittersweet message because he's like retiring from
Mm.
doing the voices. Which he did a number. It wasn't just Mario. He did a number of voices, right? But he's not retiring completely. And I think with Charles Martinet, I actually think he comes across as quite a genuine person. That he
Hmm.
describes himself as a Mario fan, right?
Yeah.
So I think he genuinely is a fan as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's bittersweet. We've had him doing for as long as I can remember. As long as I can remember, he's done the voice since Mary's even had. Mary didn't have a voice in like the older games, really. Did they? Oh,
No. Yeah. I think officially it's from Mario 64. I think he did a
yeah.
few other ones, but it was like more like a freelance job. But like when he like officially became the voice of Mario, it's like from Mario 64. Yeah. So that was cool. And
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, they did like Mario. He did Mario, Luigi, Wario, and
Hmm.
Waluigi, and
Waluigi.
maybe some others as well. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think yeah, they're just moving in a new direction and it'll be interesting to see who the new actors are. They've probably got a few different people and maybe will they have like regional differences, like regional actors like Japanese or English
I'm
VO
guessing that
actors?
they actually won't because they didn't for uh,
Mm,
Mario and that. It was the same
yeah.
voice everywhere, right? That's why everyone knows the words because it was the same. It was him.
Mm.
Did it in
What
every
I was
region.
thinking is like they want to make him talk more like in the movies. So like
Oh, okay.
they might
Hold on.
start giving him like actual
Uh,
talk like lines
you
and
think
stuff.
so?
Like maybe the next Mario, maybe to like match up with the movies and make it more like broad. I don't know, because
Man, I
yeah,
hope
that would
not.
make sense. Like that would make sense why they changed it. So like, because
I
he
don't
can
need
still do
Mario to be talking.
wahoos and
No.
but maybe they want him to talk more in the
I
future.
just want Wahoo. I don't want him having like a
'Cause they
big
got they got those like
philosophical discussion.
they got those talking flowers in Mario Wonder, but
Oh
yeah, we
yeah,
don't
that's true.
know
Yeah.
about if Mario's talking or not yet. But we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, but moving on, we also have the rumored Nintendo Direct that could be dropping any second now, as we're recording, and yeah, maybe that announcement will come very soon. But it does look like there will be a Nintendo Direct very soon, and most likely this week. So yeah, we'll talk about that in the next show. Yeah, and then also we had this report um, from in Japan about the Nintendo employee retention. And this is from a tweet from Tokyo Game Life at Tokyo Game Life on Twitter. It says new employee retention rate in Japan is 70%, while Nintendo's is 98.8%. Brand strength, the smaller number of new hires, and strong employee welfare program are a few reasons given in this really interesting article from Biz Journal, which is a Japanese business site. So, what did you think about this like super high retention rate of Nintendo Japan?
So yeah, this was really interesting because to have an employee retention rate that high is highly unusual for pretty much any company. And I did look at the article that's referenced by Tokyo Game Life, and it's a Google Translate, but you got to do what you got to do. This is in Japanese, um, and basically, like they're saying that like when they have new recruit new graduates, like only like maybe one is leaving out in the first year. I think it's a year or two. Basically, and what it seems to be, there seems to be like some different reasons, right? And so, like, naturally, you think, well, maybe Nintendo's offering the most money, or it seems that there are other companies that are more competitive. Like, in this article, Square Enix and Bandai Namco Holdings are both mentioned, which have higher uh, salaries than Nintendo. Okay, so it says that the average Nintendo's average salary is 9.88 million yen, but Square Enix is in the 14 million yen range, and Bandai Namco is 11 million yen range. So it's not because Nintendo offers the most money. That's not the reason. Nintendo does have good employee benefits apparently, and they have different programs and benefits, and systems that you can use for games, books, travel. It says the company has a deep understanding of diversity, and they have like even like same sex partnership partnership that treats
Hmm.
employees and say same sex partners the same as like married. When Japan doesn't have any marriage equality. Or protections for in the law for people in same-sex relationships, but apparently Nintendo has that. So I think basically when it comes to Nintendo, I think it's um, the the brand power and the atmosphere that they foster at that company, basically, which makes it just such an attractive place for people to work. And you have a situation now where Nintendo Switch is like 85-90% of the Japanese console market at this moment, right?
Mm.
So and you have kids, you got your little Harutos growing up, and they're playing on like Nintendo Switch. I don't know. We probably maybe touch on this, but they're not growing up with PlayStations anymore. So like when they're growing up, where do they aspire to? Where they want to work? And Nintendo is probably one of the number one places that people want to work. And to that end, Nintendo, I think the news came out earlier. Was it earlier this year, or whatever? That where their headquarters is, there's like some land around it. They bought that piece of land, and they're building another building, like almost the same size as their current building, like expanding, and obviously they're going to fill that up with people, and then couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, that apparently that's been delayed because they want to make it even bigger. They want to put extra stories on it, right? So like why they're building this extra building. I don't think Nintendo's going to expand exponentially because they're a very conservative company. So I don't think they're going to do that, and they have a relatively low number of employees. That's the other thing for a company that with their revenue that they generate, the actual number of employees is actually pretty low, right? So I think it's like maybe they have 6 or 7 thousand employees worldwide, which is relatively low for a company with their revenue, with their turnover, right? So I think that's another thing with the atmosphere is kind of like close knit. There was, I don't know if you saw this, Genki, but there was like uh, a former employee that tweeted out something about this. Did you see this, Genki?
No, I didn't see
Uh,
that.
so Imamura. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. I think he used to work on that F-Zero or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so basically he tweeted out, and this is I'm going to read this out via like detailed translation, right? So this is what he had to say about why the tech. He just was like quote tweeted this and was commenting on it. And this is what he had to say. He says there is no company policy or company motto. Do your utmost and leave the rest to luck. We respect the spirit of originality. I think that the fact that these things have permeated the company has created a comfortable environment for employees. When I joined the company, there was no mandatory retirement system, which I think they still maybe have. So he's saying there's no like set company like you have to do this and it's this set way. And I think where he says, yeah, do your utmost and leave the rest to luck. Maybe that's a reference to like Nintendo. I don't know if this is a reference to like Nintendo, the way it's the kanji they use for Nintendo. I'm not being referenced to that. I'm not sure, but yeah, basically like the how referring to how comfortable the environment and stuff is like that. So why the retention? Like once people join, they just don't want to leave. That's what it seems like. And so it's one of the most, even though they're literally not offering the best salaries you can get in the games industry in Japan. You can get more money at Square Enix and Bandai Namco, but more people want to work at Nintendo, which is yeah, it's quite. I don't know. What do you think, Anke?
Oh yeah, I think it's yeah, it's quite commendable like that they have such good working conditions. Yeah, I think it's just like that like prestige of working at Nintendo because they're like a super famous company in Japan. So like you just get like extra points if you say you work at Nintendo. Like you just look more like prestigious or something. So that's like more appealing to people. So I think that's another reason why. And yeah, as you said, like all the good benefits and the good work environment they have there is just yeah appealing for most. Because I like most of the Japanese games industry is like historically known for having really bad working conditions, like lots of overtime and
Right.
like
Okay.
power harassment and like I've heard loads of horror
Okay.
stories. Like yes, I
Yeah.
think Nintendo's probably one of the better in terms of like work
Oh, I see what you
conditions
mean.
to have to like one of
Yeah.
the better
Right.
game companies to work at. But of course they are improving. Maybe like a decade ago it was like a lot worse in terms of like people doing overtime in like Japanese game companies and low pay and like a lot of harassment, like power harassment. But I think it's
Damn.
improving these days. But I think traditionally, like Nintendo has always been one of the better places to work for
Oh,
in
okay.
Japan. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's another reason why it's probably one of like the better game companies to
Oh, I
work
see what
at
you
in Japan.
mean. Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, yeah, I think Bandai Namco also has a really good reputation. So yeah, there are some good companies out there, yeah, that do that pay good and have good working conditions. And yeah, it's good to hear that Nintendo is employees are happy, seem happy at least. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to story number 4, Tokyo Game Show 2023, the Xbox digital broadcast returns. And this is from Xbox Wire. The Xbox digital broadcast will be returning to Tokyo Game Show on September 21st at 6 p.m. Japan time, 9 a.m. UTC, and 2 a.m. PDT. Tokyo Game Show represents a special time each year when we share news and updates on games that we hope will delight Xbox fans in Japan and across Asia. Players can expect to hear progress updates from Xbox and Bethesda Softworks and see a creatively diverse collection of games from creators predominantly located in Japan and across Asia. We'll also share exciting new games coming to Xbox Game Pass, which continues to grow with great content from teams all around Asia. Xbox fans who will be in Japan and near the Makuhari Messe on Saturday, 23rd of September, are invited to apply for free tickets to a special in person event with Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond, hosted by IGN Japan. Fans can. Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, that was the report we got from the Xbox Wire. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can say that yeah, I managed to get some tickets for the fan event,
Mm-hmm.
the Xbox fan event, which will be hosted by IGN Japan, and Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond will be there, so that's quite exciting. And yeah, it's also exciting to hear this news that yeah, Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond are visiting TGS again, and they have another TGS broadcast lined up for us for this year. I know last year's one was quite disappointing. If you remember, Jodie, it
Do
ended with
remember.
yeah, it ended with what was it? Deathloop. They announced
And
Deathloop
with Deathloop, they
was like
showed
the big
crusty old those Nino Cooney games. Who cares about
oh
old
yeah,
Nino Cooney games? All this nonsense. Yeah, no, it wasn't good. Genki, I can reveal. I don't have high hopes for this show because they shows that they do at TGS are never good. They're never good.
yeah.
They never
I'm
announce
hoping
any
this
new announcements.
they start to buck the trend. I don't expect like anything like earth shattering or amazing, but I'm expecting a big improvement on last year at least.
I
Just to
think we
show
were
like
saying. I remember last year, Genki, you said
yeah,
their final chance. It's their final chance. If they don't do it now, then I'm going to lose hope in them. And Genki, you said that. I remember you saying that. I don't have high hopes. I think that what Microsoft does is that they keep their like big announcements for their summer show. That's the showcase that they have in the they have
E3
like one
time usually
thing a year
shows.
that E3 like it's not E3
Oh,
anymore,
they
but
call it
you know
direct
what I mean.
now, don't they? Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
direct.
That's a whole other thing. But yeah, they have their summer thing, and I think if there's going to be like, for example, when they announced or when they had oh god, what's his name again? What's the Metal Gear guy? I was thinking it's hot. I can't
Kojima,
remember. What's his name? Huh?
Kojima.
Kojima, yeah, I was like, Genki, it's so hot. It's so hot. I can't. Yeah, when they had Kojima on, right? When they
Yeah.
had Kojima on, it was in the showcase, right? Like, not sorry, not this year, but like last year, right? It was last year's one.
Hmm.
When they didn't show anything, they just announced that he was working with Xbox on, a game, but we don't know what it is yet. So I think if they got like a new announcement, like that was big news, right?
Yeah.
It's a big deal. If they have like something new, like oh my god, there's Kojima, something like that, then I think that would be at that show. I think it is going to be what they said it is. But it's like there's updates talking about Game Pass. End of the day, you know, they might say. Is the thing, Michael. They might say, "Oh, this is it's for fans in Japan," and now we're doing it. Now we're doing in-person meet and greet. So you know it's for this. No, you definitely know it's for people in Japan. They want and this is fine. They want Japanese games on their console to sell around the world. That's more important. That's really what drives it, right? Because I feel like if they definitely really did want to grow their presence in Japan, grow their market in Japan, like there's a number of things they could have done to put more effort in. And I know like you and I used to talk about this about like what they could do, like for example just advertising more for just for one just advertising more. Like you go in Japan, like anywhere there's ads for like Surface Books and Windows and all this stuff everywhere. Where's all the Xbox ads? I remember that's something you used to say. There being just a lack of. I mean, they have some, and they have like what do you call it, like web ads and stuff like that. But like we're talking about like street level ads, like billboards or posters or things, or maybe some television ads or even radio ads and stuff like that. I remember you saying there's kind of a lack of that. I don't know if that's improved since last year, but stuff like that. So I think it's no, listen, I think it's good they're doing an event, and they said so they're doing this in person thing, this fan event, which I don't think they had done before. Maybe not for a long. Obviously, it was COVID and everything, so they couldn't obviously couldn't have a lot of in person events. But yeah, maybe this is the first in person event since COVID, I guess.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I think it's good to do something for the fans there. Do I have high hopes for like brand new announcements? No, I think it'll be this. They'll announce like stuff going to Game Pass. There might be some things we might expect. Maybe it's old ass Nino Kuni games again. I don't know, Genki. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying. I'm just saying. I'm not holding up
What I've seen.
crazy hopes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, that's understandable based on like the previous year showings. But yeah, since like last year, I have seen them making some moves like behind the
Ooh,
scenes. So like they are hiring more people. Like I think they hired that was in the news recently. They hired
yeah,
an ex PlayStation employee
yeah,
who was like an exec who had like an executive like a role at PlayStation Studios before or Japan Studios. So they hired that person, and they also recently had the ad out for like a Xbox team lead, and that job sounded quite like marketing heavy. So
okay,
it does
okay,
look like they haven't done it yet, but it looks like they want to improve their marketing in Japan. So yeah, I think they
okay.
are making the small steps, and
Genki, they've had 20 years, man. They've had 20 years,
yeah,
man. It's not
I
like
think because
they
they
moved
had to kind of start from scratch
gaming.
because
They're kind of like starting,
they kind of
yeah,
reset they
again.
pressed the reset button like by bailing out like after 360. So
Yeah.
they're slowly building up now, and like their team in Japan is still quite small. It's like just a few dozen people or something like that. So it's not
Oh,
a big
really?
team they have. Yeah. But they are hiring more people, and they are looking to get better, and they are like improving their relationships, as you saw. Like they're getting Square Enix to finally put more of their games
Okay.
onto
Oh
their
yeah, they was on
platform.
this. Oh my god, I watched that. The
Oh, you
broadcast.
watched that live?
I was doing my show live when that happened, right?
Oh,
And
really?
then so the old Phil Spencer's
Oh,
at
wait,
the Final Fantasy 14, and I was like, okay, really? I was like, oh, Airbus Carry sounds there. By the way, that's oh my god, Airbus Carry.
what?
So
Okay.
okay,
You look too
you
young.
don't listen to my show,
Oh,
Genki. You don't listen to my
it's so
show.
long.
So okay, so the current president of Square Enix, right? I call him Airbus Kiryu-san. Now, there's a story behind that. Okay, it's because when they first announced that there's going to be a new president, right? I like on the show. I was like, okay, let me look who who's this guy or whatever. And I looked him up, and the picture that came up was like this, like really young looking guy, and it looked like he'd been like his photo had been airbrushed or photoshopped. I found it on LinkedIn. I'm like, no, this can't be the guy because on the bio it says he was born in like 1970 something. I thought, but that'll make him like 50. This can't be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's that guy? He just looks really young. He just looks really
Yeah.
young. So I started calling him Airbus Kiryu-san.
Oh, okay. It's
Everyone
baby
Kiwi's son
face.
was there. Everyone's Kiwi, and he's a crypto boy. That's a friend. He was hired because he's a crypto boy basically. But they headhunted him from this black company called Dentsu. I don't know if you just this whole thing, but yeah, he's like into all this NFT nonsense and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
that aside, he comes across really genuine, and he comes across really like sweet and genuine. Like when
Yeah.
he talked to when he talked, if you saw the broadcast they did for Final Fantasy 16, and he talked about gaming history. And I didn't realize he could speak English, right? So he's speaking. Obviously, it's not his first language, right? So he's like making mistakes and stuff like that. But he's kind of adorable, right? That's the funny thing. Even
Hmm.
though he's a crypto bro, so we'll see what he does. That's great. Square Enix is one of this gross thing is managed. Whether they can sort out that whole mess there, I don't know. But anyway, that's. I call him everybody's curious. So listen to my show, Genki, and then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah, just not the 6 hour ones. I don't think I got.
Not the 6 hour ones, no.
Yeah, but yeah, I think like we'll see some Square Enix games coming to Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
probably at this Xbox broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did predict that maybe Final Fantasy VII remake, but I'm not very confident about that one.
I'm not
Yeah,
confident either, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Some other games,
um,
yeah, that one, I don't know if it's still like an
uh,
exclusivity
yeah.
thing or what's
I
going
definitely
on,
think
but
like the Pixel remasters that they could easily come over, and I'm not sure if they'll go to Game Pass because it seems like the Xbox don't want to give Square Enix the bag anymore. Like they're giving
they
like
don't. I
all the
think they do
Persona.
want to give them a bag.
I hope they
Well,
do.
well Square Enix wants a bag.
Yeah,
It's Square,
Square Enix
listen,
wants the
Square,
bag. They're like
apart
holding
from
out for the
breaking
bag.
contract, they were like, oh, we're gonna put Pixel remasters on Xbox, and Square Enix is like, no, and then Xbox is like, we'll give you back, and Square Enix is like, yes, that's how that works. Square Enix will put their games anywhere for a
Yeah,
bag. I'm
they just
telling you,
want
they
the
did the
bag.
whole Epic
Oh
Store
yeah, Final Fantasy
exclusivity thing.
remake.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I think that the Kingdom Hearts games are still to this day exclusive to
Oh
Epic Game Store,
really?
and they're not on
Oh,
Steam. Yes, because someone told me
okay,
that like
yeah,
recently, and I was like, nah, come on,
yeah.
they
From what
they're
I
not that they're not that dumb, are they? That are not on Steam, but apparently they are not on
Yeah, from
Steam.
what
So
from what I see, yeah, Square Enix like loves getting the bag from someone, from anyone.
yeah,
they like making those deals. But I think that from now on, like since Kiryu-san was at the he said at the Fan Fest, the Final Fantasy 14 Fan Fest, that from now on, wherever possible, they'll try to put their games on Xbox. So I think they're gonna like stop taking the bags as much. They still are doing it for like things like the Foam Stars game, but I think that was already announced. So probably from now
don't get me
on,
started on that
we'll
one.
see we'll see all their
Explain,
games be
no,
multi-platform.
Genki, explain to me why they're making a live service game and they're not putting it on PC.
Yeah,
Explain that to me, Genki. I
yeah,
don't
it doesn't make
understand.
sense.
I don't
Yeah,
understand.
because even with Sony's live service games, they're going to be like on
On
PC and
PC.
as many yeah. Basically, with live service game, you want it on as many platforms as possible,
Exactly.
as because it's you want the users and you want like the active users really. So yeah, limiting the platforms is not smart
It's dumb.
business. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't. Yeah, Foam Stars was just like a bit of a head scratcher, but I understand like Sony would pay the bag and Square Enix they like taking the bag. So I understand like the business. Like Sony wants live service games nowadays, so like that's what they're pushing for. So there's one from Square Enix, and then like, they're like interested in that. So if you're making a live service game, I think Sony will be interested. Yeah, is what the impression I got. But yeah, I think maybe Kojima's game we could see. He is like he keeps posting on Twitter. He's editing some kind
Mm-hmm.
of trailer, but whether it's for like
Okay. Okay.
whether it's Death Stranding 2 or whether it's the Xbox game, it's hard to see. Like the
Oh, it
Xbox
could be
game was
either
only
actually.
started like last year, so
Oh
like
really?
it's
Right.
only got
Yeah.
like about a year or so in proper development. So I'm not sure how much they
Okay.
could show, but maybe we could get a teaser for that. It's quite possible. That's what, yeah, because but I think they're gonna have a much better show than last year, and I don't think it'll end on a game like Death, or was it Deathloop?
It was definitely
Because oh
right.
yeah, they
Yeah.
did said they're gonna tease something from their own Bethesda studios, so
Oh,
maybe that
okay.
is the next Tango GameWorks project. Because we already had
Okay.
Tokyo Ghostwire, that was like last year or the year before, so
Yeah.
maybe they could tease their next game, like their
Okay. Yeah.
next
Yeah.
because like Hi-Fi Rush was a smaller project, so
Yeah.
they could have a bigger game lined up that they could show, and then more Japanese partnerships. I predicted, like they are improving their relationships in Japan slowly, so we could see some more of those results. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you want to say anything about that, or we can move on
Well,
to
what
the
I'm
next area?
expecting is stuff on the level of old ass Nino Kuni games. Is what I'm
Oh,
expecting,
okay,
Genki.
just
I'm gonna
more
be
old
honest.
games coming to Game Pass. More old games. No, I'm expecting something better. I'm expecting like
Oh,
something for the
okay.
Japanese market. I don't know. I mean,
I
not
hope
really, but
you're right. I hope
maybe like
you're
a
right.
Kojima game or some new published game. I know publish a deal or like I don't know. And then yeah, the big one would be like if they put like some Final Fantasy remake on Xbox. That would be quite a big one. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it'd be interesting to see what else they could do. But yeah, I'm not nothing like too groundbreaking. Like I'm not expecting to see Scalebound back with Platinum Games or
Oh
something
my
like that.
god, I forgot about that. And all the rumors that went around for that for years. That'd
Yeah,
be
not
wild.
oh not nothing like that. But maybe they could be working on something with like Bandai Namco or
Mm-hmm.
Sega or I don't know something else. Or yeah, or they could finally show the Kojima game. All those things would be like an improvement on last year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll have to watch this space and yeah, see what the show's like.
For
And
sure. Mm.
yeah, we'll look forward to that. So yeah, let's move on to story number 5, and that's Final Fantasy 16. It's getting 2 paid DLCs, and the PC version is in development. We also got a free update, which is out now. So yeah, this is from from Gematsu, and Sal Romano at Gematsu said Square Enix has released a free update for Final Fantasy 16, which adds a free weapon skin feature, the Onion Sword, new outfits for Clive, Jill, and Torgal,
Oh my
and some
god.
other characters, as well as announced that both a PC version and 2 paid downloadable contents are currently in development, with more info to come before the end of 2023. So yeah, Yoshi P said, finally, while Final Fantasy 16 was released as a PlayStation 5 exclusive, we are aware that many of you have been asking for a PC version. So allow me to take this opportunity to officially announce that development on a PC version is currently underway. I hope to be able to give you more information on both the upcoming downloadable content and the PC version before the end of the year. So please stay tuned. So that was cool news we got, and we also got a news that I was really looking forward to, which is Final Fantasy 16's music coming to Theatre Rhythm Final Bar Line. And yeah, those we're getting 11 new tracks, and that will be released on November 1st. So yeah, we got quite a lot of new Final Fantasy 16 news. Well, what did you think about the news about the DLC and the PC version finally being officially announced?
Well, quickly to talk about the outfits. Yes. You could not change the clothes. Now I haven't finished Final Fantasy 16. I'm like 40% of the way through. It
Oh,
says
okay,
outfit
you
for
found it. That's
Togo.
nice.
You have an outfit on the dog. You have an outfit on the dog. Can you?
Yeah, it's not an outfit. They just changed his fur.
His little
Or like,
cuff. His cuff
huh?
change his fur.
No,
They
like
change his
there's
fur.
like it's like a different color and like effect. It has some like kind of a magical effect.
Okay. Oh
So
yeah. So you can
it's not
change.
like he hasn't got like a. It's not like it's not a proper outfit.
Okay.
It's
Right.
like a skin change.
Okay. And like the fact that you can change Clive's clothes because like
Hmm.
there's there's time periods in there where he's got the same clothes on, right? And I'm like, how this man wearing the same goddamn clothes for this long? It makes no sense. Why would you have the same clothes on? So I'm glad that they have that.
Yeah,
I
there's
haven't
a.
downloaded it yet, so
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there's like a 5 year time skip in the
well,
game.
I didn't say because I didn't want to drop spoilers. But okay, you want to put spoilers on your
What?
podcast?
No,
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
that's not a spoiler. That's in the basic. That's in the marketing. No, like they.
Spoiler!
It's not a spoiler. They say in the game like he goes through 3 time periods, like his teens, his
They
20s,
didn't
and
say they didn't
30s.
specify the amount of times. They didn't specify the years, Genki. Anyway,
They did.
whatever. Anyway, yes, he's wearing the same clothes. So
But yeah,
I
he's
didn't
wearing
make
the
that
same
made no
clothes.
sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah, I
that's
thought it
that's
was a
cool.
shame that you couldn't customize like more things in the game, like in terms of
Yeah.
appearance. But
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, I even like, but yeah, I think this new DLC is it, like even lets you change the weapon skins. So
Oh,
like
cool.
even if your weapon, whatever your weapon is, you can keep the stats, but change the appearance to
Oh, okay, got it.
any weapon you picked up before. So I think those are
That's good.
cool additions. But Yeah, yeah. I would like some more costumes because they just have one,
Yeah,
new
yeah, yeah,
ones.
exactly.
So yeah, I think if in the future they can release a lot some more, along with the because we are getting the two paid DLCs, so it'll be
Mhm, mhm.
interesting to see. I guess you're 40% through, so I guess yeah
Yeah,
you've had a few icon battles,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I think there's some like more intense stuff coming, and
Oh,
then
cool.
yeah, I think we would get more like more like additional icon battles, like new ones in this
Yeah, yeah.
DLC. So it will be
Oh,
interesting to
really?
see what new
Okay. Is
ones
it, did
we
they
can
say
get.
that? Well, I
No,
guess
they
it
didn't
would
say
be. Would
that.
be.
I'm
They
just
didn't say that, but you just. Right,
yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah.
I'm just like because the main part of the game is fighting
Right,
icons.
right, right, right.
You already
Yeah,
killed
okay.
like a lot of them, so they need
Yeah,
some
yeah,
more to fight. Yeah, so that would make
yeah.
sense.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so that would be cool. And then the PC version, which will be cool. Yeah. How soon do you think that will be ready?
I'm going to tell you something, Genki. That PC version should have been there at launch. They should have had
Yeah,
a PC
yeah, should.
version of this game at launch. Now the thing is right that yes they made an exclusivity deal with Sony, but they also had an exclusivity deal for Forspoken, which had a PC version at launch. So this is Square Enix making a decision that they did not want to have this PC version ready at launch, and I think
Hmm.
that um, greatly hampered the sales and the sales momentum of this game. That I've been following the sales of the and the legs have dropped off in Japan. It's completely dropped off. In fact it's gone out. It's gone from its chart already. Worldwide, I it's not called MPD anymore, whatever they call it, the North American one.
Hmm.
It
Sakana,
has
yeah.
Takana now. That's it. I always want to call it cicada. It reminds me of. But anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, so it's dropped like amount, and that's held much better than it has in Japan. But it's still not great, and you kind of expect a game like that to be fun. I mean,
Hmm.
all the Final Fantasy games are like really front loaded and
Yeah.
stuff.
I
But
think there
having a
was just like
PC
a lot
version
of
would have
big
helped.
releases out this year. Like there's like a load of like Diablo, and then Baldur's Gate exploded, and like I think yeah, it's just a lot of competition
Well, Genki,
this
that
year.
is true, but who decided to release that game in June? Square Enix decided that. They made that decision. They knew what other games were coming out. That is their mismanagement. This is what I'm talking about, them being mismanaged. Why did they release it then next to those other games? They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to be there. You know, if the game had already been sort of I don't know if they said it wasn't like delayed, but they said because there was no official there's no like delay, but they took their time trying to like polish it and stuff like that. So they could have made that timing more optimal. And if it came out around other games and stuff like that, that is on Square Enix, right? So Square Enix needs to take the L on that. They need to take the L on the timing of when they release the game. They need to take the L of deciding to not make a PC version at launch. That's completely dumb. They need to take it, and it's kind of an L to make the game exclusive to PlayStation 5. Number okay, we wouldn't have sold too much on the Xbox, but they're limiting I feel like they're limiting the potential of the franchise, and like this franchise that seems to have a cap of like 10 million. Have you got Final Fantasy 15 sold like 10 million, and some of the older games got close to maybe 10 million, but they don't seem to go over that, right? And then other game franchises are just like sailing past. Like game franchises that are maybe the same, same age or same pedigree of Final Fantasy are like sailing past like where Final Fantasy is. Final Fantasy should have, they should be trying to maximize the appeal. So you can say, oh right, it's exclusive to PlayStation 5, but why not have the PC version at launch? I think that was a big mistake. So I don't know how long it's going to take them for this PC version. You would expect normally around a year if they, started maybe around when the game came out, maybe just before, just after. You'd expect maybe it's going to be a year. So I hope that maybe that there can be some sales momentum, some sales movement with the combination of the DLCs, which I'm not sure when they're going to release. Maybe they will time them with the with the PC versions, with some more sales momentum with the DLCs and the PC version. But I feel like they made a lot of mistakes with the way they decided to roll out this game. To be quite frank, yeah.
Yeah, I hope they release the PC version soon, sooner rather than later, because I know there's a lot of players that also want to play on PC. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be good if they can make a PC version as soon as
Mm-hmm.
possible, and like yeah, continue to try and keep the sales up because yeah, I think yeah the sales have slowed down a lot since release. I think it released really well, like 3 million in the first week or so. It was like really good, good result for the launch. But yeah, I think after that, there's a lot of different games that came out, and then a lot of people like moved on to other games, so the sales kind of slowed down. So yeah, they need to like keep the sale like the momentum up, like yeah, with the DLC and other things they need to do to like keep the sales momentum up or try to like rejuvenate them. Yeah, the PC version coming out soon will help with that. Yeah, because yeah, I really enjoyed the game. It's like one of my favorites of this year, along with I mean, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, those are the two games I've enjoyed the most so far this year. I'm still
Yeah.
playing Tears of the Kingdom at the moment, but yeah, it's really good. And yeah, I hope the sales can pick up, and I hope like these
Yeah.
the new DLC can help with that. And I think we'll get an announcement of like what exactly the DLC is at the Game Awards, probably. Hopefully, and
Oh,
maybe
right,
we'll get
okay,
a
yeah.
date for the PC version sooner rather than later. But I hope it comes out like in the beginning of next year. That'll be good for the sales, and then maybe the DLC can come out, also around like maybe next summer or something like that, like within a year or something. That would be
Right,
cool
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
that can
yeah.
happen. But yeah, I think yeah they from now on I think they need to focus on releasing their games on PC as well, or what like more multi-platform, even like the Switch 2 for their next one. If they can do that, then like yeah they want to grow the sales of Final Fantasy series as you said. Like yeah,
Yeah.
past because I think yeah it definitely has the potential to do much better than 10 million. Yeah, so I think yeah they need to yeah, just yeah, launch on more platforms or bigger install base. Launch to a bigger install base, as you said. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to story number 6. Level 5 are back, and
Oh
we
boy.
and yeah, so Level 5 released the Tokyo Game Show lineup for this year's Tokyo Game Show, which is next week. And they're back with a bang with 5 games, considering last year they weren't there at all. So they were like had no presence last year, but with this year we have 5 games for Level 5, and those 5 are Deca Police, that will be playable. Inazuma 11 Victory Road, which will also be playable. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, that will also be playable. Yeah, so those 3 are playable at will be playable at the Tokyo Game Show, and they're also showing Megaton Musashi Wired and Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. So yeah, what do you think about this Level 5 being back, and they finally have some
Are
games
they
to
back,
show
Genki?
off?
Are they? Are they? Yes,
Hopefully,
yes, yes, unsurprisingly, I have stuff to say. Now, if you remember, right, level 5, right, they've made fantastic games and stuff, but they made a lot of mistakes, specifically around their biggest franchise, Yokai Watch. Okay, they messed that up. They nuked that franchise, right? I won't get into the whole history here, but basically earlier this year, so this was like I think in February, right? Um, they just appeared at a Nintendo Direct, right, with multiple games, right, at this Nintendo Direct, right. So we saw multiple. We saw new games, Deca Police, Fantasy Life, and Professor Layton's New World of Steam, and then I think in March. I think it was in March. Was it in March? I think it was in March of this year. They had their own special presentation called a Level 5 Vision, right? And they used to have these years and years ago apparently before they nuked their whole you know, Yoko watching everything, right? But yeah, so they had one of these digital presentations, and in this digital presentation, Genki, right? They showed multiple games, right? They showed Inazuma, the new Inazuma 11, which has been in development hell for years and years and years and years, right? This game, I think it was, maybe they even started development for this for the 3DS. I'm not even sure. But it's been in development hell for years. They showed Deca Police again. They showed Fantasy Life, which I think is that a new version of an old Fantasy Life game, or is it a new Fantasy Life game? I'm not sure. Megaton Musashi is not a new game, but they're making like a what do you call it? They're adding content to it or something, and they're doing a worldwide release because at the moment that game is only in Japan. So they're doing worldwide release and putting it on all platforms. And then the Professor Layton game, which has a title and a very short teaser, but they did show more details in the Level-5 version, and they about the quizzes and stuff that's going to be in it, right? So that was great. But they said in that Level-5 vision, Genki, they said that these games would all be releasing this year, apart from the Professor Layton one. Everyone said they're releasing this year. They put a date on it, Genki. They said these games are releasing this year. We are now in September. It's September right now. When are these games supposed to be releasing? These games, in the 11, which has been in development hell for years and years and years and years and years, Deca Police, Fantasy Life, and Megaton Musashi are all supposed to be releasing this year. So it's 4 games they're supposed to be releasing this year worldwide, because they're now getting back into worldwide publishing. They had years of just their games just only being in Japan for well, it must have been 7 plus. It was years. It was a long time. But their games are only in Japan. Now they're doing worldwide publish. So when are these games supposed to be scheduled for? When they're releasing? If it's now mid September, right? You've got October, November, December, like 3 months. So they're releasing 1 game a month, all at the end of the year. You know, which doesn't seem like a good idea to me. So I'm thinking that 1 or 2 or maybe more of these games are being delayed into 2024. So I just can't see them releasing 4 games, even if one of them isn't technically a new game. It's like added DLC, but for the rest of the world, it'll be a new game, right? Megaton Musashi. Yeah, so it'll be a new game for everyone else. I can't see them going, 1 game a month until. Nah, some of these games are getting delayed. So I don't think, I think it's good that they're. Like, I won't officially say they're back until like some of these games actually get like actual release dates. So maybe in TGS they'll get a release date, and I suspect that some will be delayed. I suspect Deca Police is going to be delayed into next year. Honestly, I think that's one that's going to get delayed. Inazuma 11, I don't know if that game's ever coming out. It's been in development hell for so long. I think the reason is for that game, the way it played on the DS and the 3DS, it reused the stylus and stuff like that. I think they found that difficult translating it to the Switch. I think they also put it on the PS4 with like you have to be able to play it with a single screen as well, and I think that was part of the problem, that they couldn't figure that part out. But I will say Level-5 is back when these games actually have release dates and then they actually start releasing. You know, I don't know. I want to say that back, Genki. I want to say that back. I just can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, I'm just happy they actually have some games to show off finally, and they're showing like some signs of life. So yeah, but hopefully, yeah, as you said, we get some release dates for these games, and hopefully that will be next week at TGS or in the like rumored Nintendo Direct that's coming up. So hopefully we'll see some of the release dates for these games soon. Yeah, but thanks for that, Jodie. So yeah, I'm gonna skip the story number 7 because we're running out of time. But yeah, we'll just talk briefly about the sales and then go to the end part. Yeah, because I only got 20 minutes left to record. Okay, so yeah, so the next story is we have some sales updates, and the first one is from Sea of Stars, and they tweeted out that Sea of Stars has sold over 250,000 copies worldwide. And they said that this was, they had projections for the first year, but it took them only a single week to achieve this sales number. So yeah, what do you think of those really impressive sales from Sea of Stars, which the goal for the year was 250,000, and they did
Yeah.
it in 1 week.
It's extremely impressive, especially when you consider that this game, it an indie game at the end of the year. End of the year, end of the day. Sorry, it's hot. Genki's very hot.
Hmm.
That that it sold that much is very impressive for an indie game. Not only that, this game is also in two subscription services at launch. So it's in Game Pass on Xbox and XPC as well, and then also the PS Plus Extra subscription. So it was in both those. It was in two subscription services at launch. Now, when it comes to smaller indie games, it's usually a good idea for them to kind of take a bag and get some money up front. I suspect that they didn't think the game. I mean, they said, well, they didn't know that the game was going to blow up the way it did. So for this 250,000 sales in was it a week? It's extremely impressive. But probably most of these sales, because of the subscription service, would have been on PC and Switch. Not sure exactly how how much, but have sold that much in spite of being in the subscription services is very impressive. It's extremely impressive. It's not something you see very often. So I think it's so impressive that a lot of the time when these games are on subscription services, they will announce player numbers. You don't get any sales numbers. You just get total player numbers. But they didn't do that. They didn't tell us any player numbers at all. We only got sales numbers, which tells you that they are surprised and impressed by that. But if they didn't give us any player numbers at all. Now, I've quickly just had a look on Steam DB to get an idea of what this might have sold on Steam. So, concurrent players right now is 2,924. The 24-hour peak was 3,459, and the all-time peak 9 days ago, I guess that's when it came out, right, was 8,635. This is Steam DB, and so the estimated owners is like it ranges from it's 150, 170,000, 170,000 reviews, 100 it could have sold like maybe 142,000. This is on Steam Spy, so maybe sold 150,000, something like that, on Steam, right? So you would have had quite a lot of sales on Switch as well. So yeah, that's really impressive, really impressive. So congratulations to the studio. I think they also made another. I think they made the Messenger as well. So I think they already had like a really good reputation. So yeah, good. I really want to get this game, but I want to get the physical. And then I saw the Asian version has got like a way better cover art. It was way better cover art. So I'm thinking maybe importing that, honestly.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, there's a Japanese version that's coming out. I
yeah,
think it's coming out a bit earlier as well,
it
because
is. Yeah,
I think the Western one doesn't have a proper date yet. So yeah, the cover is a different cover. Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. But yeah, I'm happy that they sold so well despite being on all the different services. So yeah, they're doing super good for an indie studio. That's good to see. And yeah, we also got news that Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters has sold over 3 million copies worldwide.
Mhm,
So that's also that's up from 2 million, I think, like a month ago or something. So yeah, that's really good news.
yeah, that's great stuff. And I think that the way they're counting this series, I think they're counting each individual title, not just the because they always did the bundle. Like there was a bundle, the physical. You could buy. Well, this is another. This is Square's been fraudulent where they limited the. You could get the physical, right? They only made a limited version, limited amount of those. So I think each title's been counted individually, and I think also like it's every single version, including consoles, Steam, mobile, everything. So no, that's good. I think it's like a really good sign for like the older style JRPGs and the pixel. And we just discussed Sea of Stars, right? Pixel art games still having a you know a good market. There's still a market for them. I think Sea of Stars potentially that could go on to sell like 1 million, right? I think that could, I think that could be 1 million seller. So yeah, I think it's a really good sign for the future of like continuing to make turn-based JRPGs, like pixel style, older style, like in the kind of the SNES style games, right?
You can just briefly say what you've been playing.
Um, I've only been playing two things, and that's Final Fantasy 16 and Splatoon 3. And I did not play in the Splatfest this weekend because I was so unwell with the heat. And I know I've played in every single Splatfest like since Splatoon 2. I don't think there's any, even ones I've only played like an hour. Right, I might have only played an hour, only played a few matches. I've played in every single one. So this is, I think, is the first one I've never played. So that's how ill I was. Because I couldn't
Okay.
even. I'm like,
Yeah,
I can't lift my head up to be trying to like concentrate.
yeah,
Like my head
yeah.
was spinning. So I was just in a dark room with a fan on. So I wasn't able to play that Final Fantasy 16. I was about 40% of the way through, according to the thing that it says on the when you're in the like this not the start menu, but the menu when you're going to go into the game. It's like tells you how much completed of that. I'm enjoying that game. I do have some issues with the the I feel like the combat's like too. Uh, I don't know. It's like too simplistic, kind of, and then it's like I would have preferred if they had like more RPG elements and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of that stuff's been stripped back. And I'm no hardcore Final Fantasy fan. I'm not even talking from that point of view. I'm just talking from a gameplay point of view. But overall, enjoying it and wanting to see where the story goes. I just haven't been as much time into gaming as I've been like studying and stuff like that. And also, yeah, I've been doing like my own live stream show and putting time into that and stuff like that. But those are two things that those are the two things I played recently. A bit further back than that, I did play Cat Quest 2. I said I already played Cat Quest 1, and I'm really looking forward to Cat Quest 3. Those games are low key fun, alright? They're just like kind of like mindless fun. They're really cute with like cute puns and stuff like that. Like everything's a pun, like on a cat name. And then one that I played, Cat Quest 2, there's a dog as well. So you go into like the dog, I don't know what they call it, the dog land where the dogs are. Right, and I think you can play it in co-op, although I just played just me. So that's a cute little game. I'm looking forward to Cat Quest 3. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Yeah, some cool games there. Yeah, personally, I've just been playing. I started the Pikmin 4 demo. Yeah, I have two young kids, and I was playing with them, and then like they really love Pikmin, and yeah, it's really fun, and it's like a just like a expansion on the all the previous three games, but like they just refined everything and made everything a
Mm-hmm.
lot more easy and accessible. And yeah, they added some new cool features like the new dog Ochi. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
Ochi is like a cool dog you can ride together with your Pikmin, and yeah, they just added some cool features, and yeah, I'm really impressed with that. And yeah, it's just a demo I've been playing, but there's a lot of content in the demo. You can play it
Oh,
like for like
really?
4 hours or more,
Oh,
so
really?
it's quite a substantial demo. And yeah, I'm really impressed with it, and I think I'll pick up the game later on in the year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then also playing Human Fall Flat, which is
Okay.
I think it's an older game, but it's been out for a while. But first time I played it was on PS Plus Extra, so I just
Mm-hmm.
picked it up
Mm-hmm.
there, and yeah, it's really fun. And yeah, you can play co-op as well, which is really fun. So I've just been playing
Mm-hmm.
those two games at the moment. But yeah, it's really cool.
Cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
so that's what I've been playing recently. We have one question from uh, we have one question from Twitter, and
Okay.
yeah, we can just answer that one quickly. Lonely underscore snow at lonely underscore snow asks, has Japan lost interest in PlayStation slash Sony? So yeah, Yeah, what do you think about that? About this question, has Japan lost interest in PlayStation and Sony?
Well, the too long didn't read answer is yes. But obviously, I think that the person asking this question wanted, a bit more in depth answer than that. So PlayStation has been in decline in Japan, but it's not something that started recently. It started like quite a long time ago. So it started after the PS2, basically, that there's been in decline. And if you look at the market and all the different platforms there's been since that time, and the market shares that they had, PlayStation's gone down. So obviously PS2 was huge. PS3, probably, everyone, most people listening will know that had some issues upon launch, including like it being like high price and stuff like that, right? And so that had some issues. So it took a while. So that worldwide, it took a little while to get going with the PlayStation 3. And then for between like the PlayStation 3, from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4, there was also a decline, but there was also a shift in PlayStation as a company. Now, I say PlayStation, because obviously PlayStation is a very large subsidiary, a very large part of Sony, but it's like its own thing. So SIE is what I mean, Sony Interactive Entertainment, right? So they kind of very gradually started making some changes between PS3 and PS4. So one of those things was to be like even more Western focused and like being like Western focused with their games. So I like to say that started with Uncharted 1, which I believe was a PlayStation 3 game. So from that era, when that game took off and that style of game, and it was like multiple Uncharted games, I was like four of them, I think. Multiple Uncharted games. Then you had the Last of Us, and then you got what we are now more familiar with as Sony's very successful Western action adventure games that are like a third person, but they are a certain style of game that um, does very very well in the West, and they sell extremely well. So to be clear, Sony has had their most success ever now in this era, but it's become at the cost of their market share in Japan. And I think one of the things is that these games specifically that Sony's making just do not appeal in Japan. You'll get like maybe them selling like maybe almost 150,000, something like that. Even if you look at like Marvel's Spider-Man from 2018, Spider-Man is a very popular character worldwide and very popular in Japan, and the Marvel characters are very popular in Japan. But that game sold 130,000 first week in the Famitsu's sales in 2018, right? So obviously a bit more with digital, but you compare that to something, and I always make this comparison, okay? So, if you listen to my show, you know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say? There's a game called Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, right? That is a port from the Wii. It's an old ass Wii port, okay? That game sold 189,000 first round. And you can say, well, it was Kirby Super Port. Kirby's not like a top selling Nintendo franchise, right? So what? So a Spider-Man game should probably be outselling, a Kirby, not even a new Kirby game, like a port, a Wii port, this Wii game, right? So you had that, and then some other things that Sony has done with moving their headquarters, or the PlayStation headquarters. People don't know was used to be in Japan. It was in Japan, but they moved it in. I want to say like 2014, 2015. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It's around that time they moved the headquarters from Japan to California. I think it's in California now, but it's in the States anyway. They moved the headquarters to the States. They did things like when the Vita failed, they stopped supporting the Vita, which obviously affected their market share greatly because portable gaming is very popular in Japan. They stopped, making their own internally developed games that were developed for the Japanese market. So they shut down Japan studio, right? So one of the missions of Japan Studio was to make games that appealed to the Japanese market. So that's, one thing that happened. Now, the important thing to remember is that all during that time, from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5, Sony has not got any less support from Japanese developers. Like, the PS4 got everything. The PS4 had everything. It had Monster Hunter, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Persona, Dragon Quest. Obviously, it was a 3DS version, but the console version came to PlayStation 4 first. It had everything, and it still declined from the PlayStation 3. So it's not a lack of Japanese support that is the reason for PlayStation's decline. The same thing with PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 gets everything. It gets several things that are not released on Switch, for there's various reasons why stuff's not really either the developers don't want to do it, Atlas, or it's just that they can't get the game running on reasonably running on the Switch, right? But whatever, there's a lot of games that are not released on Switch, so they are in fact de facto exclusives in Japan because Xbox has no presence. So even if the game is on Xbox, people don't even most people don't even know Xbox exists or there's an Xbox version of anything because there's no physical version. It's not, you don't see it in the stores. It's not on an in-store poster or in-store advertising or just say PlayStation. So it's perceived as a PlayStation exclusive. An example of that would be Armored Core 6, which were released recently. So the PlayStation, they get all the games. They get games that even are not released. They get everything apart from stuff that's obviously Nintendo exclusive, their own games, and the odd thing that's like made exclusive, maybe like your Live was on, a small game like that is not going to move the needle. So it's stuff that basically it's it's more like the interest has waned because of the lack of Sony making games for that market and doing more things for that market and making decisions like they changed the confirm and cancel button on the controller. Yeah, so that's what the short answer is yes, they have. But it's not. It doesn't mean that it's completely gone or that it's still there. They still have presence. It's just greatly diminished from what it used to be.
Oh, okay, thanks for that answer then, Jodie. Yeah, so we come to the end of the show. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of the Gamer Get podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please let me know and leave a comment or any questions that you may have in the comment section. You can also support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/Genki Gamer. That's patreon.com/GenkiGamer. Thank you so much, Jodie, for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Please let people know where they can find you.
So you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/ at Game Corner Shop. That's where you'll find my live stream shows and archives of past shows. I'm also on Twitter. That's at Jodie D. That's at JODIEDE on Twitter. And I also have a very active Discord server. That I will have to give you the link to, Genki, because I don't have a personalized link for that because you have to pay for that thing. So I'll give you a link to that, but that's called Jodie JP Sales Chat, and it's all about talking about the Japanese video game sales and Japanese video game market.
Okay, thanks for that, Jodie. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.